session this evening, then we'll move on to our, in addition to our regular board meeting. So we'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I know for our work session this evening, we had the order on the paper, but we're gonna switch that up. And we're gonna start with a discussion between Jim and Brian Shealy and the board in regards to the old high school in La Crosse.
Okay.
You guys are more than welcome if you two wanna, you're fine where you're at, but if you wanna come up and make it more conversational, you're more than welcome to as well.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
That way we're just get into some dialogue here and let's see what we're thinking and
Well, you know, me, Jim Shealy, and my son Brian, and we represent the Cross Property Management. And we've already got a couple businesses, recent businesses in the Cross that we started with. And, you know, the Hangar and Grill Club, it's a successful restaurant, and we have apartments above that that are rented, and it's working out real good. So we're interested in doing some other projects in town. The school building is one of those. We're looking at that to see what's available, what we can work out together for that project.
And so I guess tell us what your main idea is of doing with the building then.
Well, I think it lends itself to education, to classes, so continuing education is what we're looking at. There may be other things involved in that as we get into the building. We've already remodeled one old building in town, you know, and so we know what we're getting into. And putting apartments in is very expensive. Even when we had an open room, the second floor was all open, so it was easier to put apartments in there. We could make it fit any way we wanted. But the schools are really good. It's divided up already into classrooms. And so that's what I was thinking, was continuing education. So we've had conversations with several people about that and that are interested. And I think, and you've already met one, Pastor Paul and Philip.
Yeah, Pat and Phil.
I was just going to ask you if he was going to be included in that.
Right, yeah. He's interested. But in that respect, so we're interested in also the playground and access to the gym. So that's what we're looking for having young kids in there.
What do we mix, adult and youth?
Yeah, sure.
Education class.
Okay,
Adult education
okay.
is what we're looking at first. Then I got people contacted me about daycare in there and other things like that. So, and the pastor was looking for younger kids too. And then he wanted to make sure we could get the gym. So you use the gym at the schools when they weren't using the schools available, then they wouldn't be able to use it.
Their church is very active in athletics and soccer, basketball, I don't know, baseball or not, but that was the reason they were interested in being a tenant. They're not interested in owning the building or to do the building, they're interested in renting some section of the building, but having access to the gym was a big concern of theirs.
Yeah. And then we had in the playground too, then they play outdoors, so outside in the playground.
So you guys are looking more, yourselves looking for adult education.
Just because the building kind of lends itself to that more, like we talked about, converting space to apartments, but knowing the expense of that, you don't know if it's feasible to convert some of that space to apartments. So the adult education was one that Dan had. And looking at talking to other, even high school apprenticeship type program like AK Smith, stuff like that, they had any interest in moving classes down there for high school students. So it could still be utilized as a school building. The residential type use would be great, I just don't know if it's financially makes sense.
I would imagine the cost to convert those classrooms over to residential space would be expensive.
We put a bathroom in every apartment, and we put a washer and dryer in every apartment.
Yeah.
So you're talking all the plumbing individually for all those rooms, and I guess really expensive.
Yeah, plus trying to, I guess bring it up to code Because you'd be required to probably do that too.
Electric.
And it was easier in the old grocery store because there was nothing there.
Sure.
So whatever we put it in, started out as clear. We also put in, each department has an individual furnace too, and air conditioning system, so it's kind of more complicated in the school.
Our main concern, we want to see the building saved and used somehow, so it's not us, we'd like to see somebody use it.
So you guys would basically just take ownership over of the facility? Is that what you're looking towards?
We've got ownership of the building and.
With access to the gymnasium?
Right, ownership of the building, but access to the gym and the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a school like that, have priority over the use of the gym space, that
Sure.
way the city has it available.
And that gym space usage, is that mainly towards Pastor Phil and
Right.
his church needs, or
Right now, it's just,
possibly some other?
just Pastor Phil right now, is our only,
Okay.
is our only reason we're asking,
Okay.
but there could be some other uses
But
for it.
it gave me the idea.
Well, sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because we still use that gym.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'd love to see the school continue.
Yeah. Well, me too.
Yeah, just to remind the board, so Pastor Jim and I have spoken, and Pastor Phil and I have spoken, and where Pastor Phil and the Heartland Church left it with me was they're completely comfortable having this meeting happen tonight with you two fellas, and then they'll work, if this works out,
Sure.
and we get somewhere, then they would work directly with you and be that, like you said, a rental agreement, or however you guys want to set that up.
And then I've talked to Dick too about his adult education classes, moving some of those down if you go across.
Now, Jim, who's the lacrosse property management? Is that just the two of you?
It's us and our wives.
Okay.
Four of us.
I was just wondering.
We're the owners.
Okay.
And you're looking at, are you leaning towards wanting to lease or then full ownership? And if so, like what partition, is just the building itself, or like you mentioned playgrounds, are you looking at parking? Like there's parking to the north and where the playground currently is, so what are you looking at those sides?
Well, we're looking at the playground, that's what I found out some people wanted, looking for daycare in the lacrosse area. And I thought, well, use the playground is there.
Mhm.
So, and I don't know how much parking you would need for whatever. Depends on, how it evolves.
Sure, yeah,
What we need, schools may have worked the way it is for a long time,
right.
the limited parking that it has, but there is some options for other property adjacent to the schools for sale, it could be purchased for parking also.
Right. And that's why parking, of course, is a big issue for basketball games and things, but I didn't know what you're thinking as far as the lease versus, again, an all-out
Well,
purchase.
and the school doesn't use the playground for parking, it's always just the
Correct.
So it wouldn't be, nothing would change
Yeah.
for basketball games.
Yeah.
Park on the street or anything.
Yeah.
So, we're kind of open for any, we're doing our research and see who else would be interested in adult education or youth education classes. I know I've gone to Valpo for several classes and they don't run every day, they run like once a month. And they're always renting a place for a class, to have a classroom. So we could have it down in our area instead of drive around. But I didn't know what this board was interested, what they were thinking about the school, what they were thinking about the property, how you're going to divide up the property. And I know the utilities are somehow connected.
That was gonna be where my next is. I don't know how they are, I just know they are. And
The gym doesn't have a separate electric service, is it shared with the school or?
I think there's two bills, gas and electric, right?
yeah, for the entire property.
So that would be segregated.
So what, do you have thoughts on that, about how to separate it
Well,
out?
we have, electricians, we have to deal with that problem. We kind of tell them what we want to do and
Yeah.
make it happen.
Sure.
So I'm sure that it would be easy to divide the school and the gymnasium. They'd have to put two separate meters in and just, for them it may not be as difficult as.
We probably have to have a discussion with them still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
What is the board's plan, I guess, just try to figure that out now, just what your options are. Try to keep the gym long-term though forever, and
Yeah.
keep the school gym.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that we're all learning at the same time here, because this is all new for us, but, and that's why I mentioned the parking, because parking is definitely something, I think all of our goals is to keep the gym open as long as possible. So we want to make sure that if we can add any value to that by having additional parking, then that's something to discuss, knowing what that all looks like, and we need to figure out what the partnership is, what the right situation for the process at the Tri-Township.
Yeah, and I wasn't thinking of the tennis courts, I was thinking kind of, probably on the site the school's on for the playground. and
Yeah.
The tennis courts would stay with the gym. That's, I mean, that was just my thought.
Mhm.
Kind of a natural dividing area.
Right.
And then I also thought too, that we'd have to take away that breezeway between the school and the gym.
Yeah.
Or maybe not, if we had young kids in there using the gym from time to time, maybe leave them to keep them in control, that would be, they wouldn't get out of, out in the street or anything, they go through that way to get into the gym. So it wouldn't have to be.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily seem like it have to be eliminated if we're gonna have some shared usage across spaces.
That could always be locked,
Yeah, that'd
going
be a
into
way
that
to
door.
do
Yeah, you
that.
could just keep the door locked.
Right.
Yeah, so that would be,
And you guys use the front.
yeah. I'm a traditional guy, I'd like to use the front door if it would work out. If I'd like to come in the front door. And
I agree.
Excuse me, you still need access to that back door for the lift periodically, I would think. I don't know how
I mean, the
often.
side door you're talking about?
The side door, yeah,
Yeah.
if you ever have someone with a wheelchair.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that works out. Right now, I wasn't thinking we'd have, but would that be possible? If we had somebody want to use it with a wheelchair access?
Of course,
And if
you
the
know.
gymnasium side was locked, there would never be a problem with the gym.
Yeah, and there's a lift on both. There's a lift in the gym side and a lift in the school side.
And that's in that breezeway area, right? That's what we're looking at.
The lift in the school building is
East.
on the east side at the ground floor.
Okay.
So it is actually, the lift actually takes you down to the basement.
Oh, okay.
And then in the gym side, the lift brings you up to the gym floor height. And that's where it was.
Okay, how do you get up? It takes you down to the basement. How do you get up to this side? There is no lift.
That's right.
The architectural
Okay.
firm wanted
Yep. That's right.
Somebody else has to let you.
Yeah.
Take it back.
I think the pastor was talking about going in the back door, when you come up to the emergency, that back exit, that's an emergency exit.
I think potentially, yeah, he did.
Started the conversation
Yeah.
that way.
And when I talked to him too, that was all he was interested in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And then be able to use the gym from time to time for his students. But I guess, you guys have to think about that, the property,
Right.
on the playground side, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because Tim did a good, but I'll
Yeah.
regurgitate, I guess, for lack of a better word, what we've talked about. One of the thoughts we've had is gaming parking for events. So that's where, I've actually tried giving away that playground equipment to 2 or 3 different people. No one's ever shown up to tear it out, so that might end up being a good thing. So it's still there,
But you got the tennis court.
and yep,
It's already a parking spot.
Yeah, it's already.
Yeah,
and it makes sense that that would be a natural break
Yeah.
if the board wanted to divide that property that way.
Yeah. And that's what we're interested in, is buying the property.
Yeah,
So we have to
yeah.
put it outright, and you guys have no liability anymore on the school side.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the school board we don't want to be a landlord, I mean,
Yeah.
we would want to, that was part of the reason why we vacated the building, because of the potential maintenance in the future.
Sure.
We want to be absolved from having to deal with it.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, and I would agree that it would be some sort of purchase or whatever, that you guys, once we figured out what was what,
that's kind of why I mentioned what I did with parking, because the north side is currently used for maybe 15 cars, but there's 15 cars there that people use for the game. And then they use the tennis courts right now for parking, so we're kind of limited already, so that would, whatever this looks like, I didn't know if we had a business plan or even estimated cost, but this is, again, we're all,
We haven't got too deep into it, not because we didn't know what was
Yeah.
gonna happen in the building. We've been asking for years, but there wasn't really plans, we're like, how much time do we want to invest in this before we know if we're actually gonna do some of that?
For sure, yeah.
We want to know what your thoughts are.
Well, I honestly, and I think you guys know, I had a hard time moving. But now with this move, I think it was the right decision. We did the right decision, but I don't want to see the building knocked down.
You don't either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd
Well,
like
and I
to
mean,
keep,
honestly, I don't think the school corporation really wants to pay to have the building ripped down.
Yeah.
And if we can find a way for it to be saved,
yeah.
you know.
and that's
then-
never, I mean, that's never been our intentions or brought up.
Sure.
So we just didn't know what we're gonna
Three-quarters
do.
of $1 million to demolish that building, you know, and money.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think if you
Somebody
find
could
someone,
take it, that would be
it
great.
would be good for everyone involved, the taxpayers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would summarize their feelings
Yeah.
as being wide open to exploring this.
Sure.
Continuing to explore.
And we want to save the building, like
Yeah.
Brian said, but I think, like I said, continuing education, is what it lends itself to, if we can make that work.
Yeah.
And, well, we would like to, talk about this further, we would like to have, get one of our contractors, engineers to go, like, have a tour of the building, see what it looks like now,
Yeah.
and see what
Yeah.
it costs.
I haven't been to the school building in years, so I don't even know what.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a student there, so I don't know the whole entire layout. I've been through there a few times or something.
We can make that happen very easily.
Because up to this point, I think, our knowledge is that Pastor Phil, when he came, he was presenting more of the leasing type functions, so we were trying to figure out how to separate. Because there's all kinds of benefits for that. One is we're keeping something going in the building, it's still an active, useful building, but we're also preserving cost of utilities and things for a building that's sitting there vacant. So we need to look at water costs and all the utilities associated with those things, try to preserve dollars. So this is just a process that we want to do the right thing for La Crosse and for what's happening with that building. Again, it's been there a long time, and we want to try to preserve it if we can.
Yeah, and we think, if we can have some continuing education there, we'll bring some more traffic into La Crosse and just more activity and keep everything viable. So more of the services. And there's gonna be a Dollar General, we know that's coming in, probably before the end of the year, there'll be a Dollar General across the street from the Hangar Restaurant. So, and I'm excited about that, I mean, that's.
And so from my perspective, again, what ties into having made this move to begin with is just trying to be the best steward I can with the school's money. So the quicker we get to where utility bills are not coming out of the school's budget.
Yeah.
And it's really been a good move. These
Yeah,
kids
oh,
are-
for sure.
Yes,
It has.
for sure.
So the question I'll ask is back to those utilities and with the crossover between the two. Once we get in there and you guys take a look and get a little further, if that's what the board chooses to do, would you be open to carrying some of those costs to have the utilities truncated so that they're separated out?
I guess we're open to anything right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we dealt with a couple electrical contractors that we're comfortable with, and we get them in there with us and kind of look and see what it's going to take to separate things out. And then not only the electrical, but then I don't know how your water supply works in your
All those
sewage system,
questions.
all that stuff. Where is it all?
Yeah.
They all run together.
Say the water line comes in from the north side off on 9th Street and comes in on the east side by that back door where you have to the school. There's 1 meter and it gets a 1-inch service.
And so it runs through the school into the gym? Or-
No, it comes into the back of the school on the east side.
Yeah.
It goes in there and then it just, all the piping throughout runs over and then runs over. the
Yeah, see, I don't think that'd be a big problem separating. Once they see how, where the gym gets its water,
Yeah.
we pipe that.
To run new water to the gym, you'd have to come from the west side, across the street on the west side in the front of the gym, or you'd have to come from that north side, because there's no water line on the east side or the south side.
Where's it going to the school now? Right?
From the north, off of 9th Street.
Okay.
The main is on that north parking lot where that little grass strip is. On the far north side, there's a utility pole, the main comes in right there, runs into the back. On the east side where that lift is in the back door, it comes in right through there too.
And you say there's no water on the west side of the gym, or the?
There's water on the west side, there's water mains on the north, but there's none on the east or the side.
So there is water there.
Yeah.
Probably be best to come in from the north and feed the gym from the east side instead of across the front parking through the front of the gym.
And the utilities man in town probably knows where a lot of this stuff, how the sewer line, where that sewer hooks up for the gym, for the school, where they start.
I think sewer being issues there.
Yeah, the sewer-
Not water consumption. is the-
Yeah, the sewer probably won't be an issue, it'll be the supply
Any
and,
changes needed to that.
yeah.
Sewer would be fine with it.
The sewer is separated.
Yeah.
The sewer
The
is,
sewer is separated. It goes into a manhole on the north side of in the parking lot. But it's, they
because
come
the sewer rate is
from
is
different
dependent on your
manholes.
water usage, that's how
So
they
your gymnasium
calculate that. So-
goes through the sewer on the north side?
It goes from the north side of the gym and then heads to Oneida Street. And then there's a manhole inside that parking lot on the north side of the school.
Yeah.
There's a manhole that they both connect right there and then go out to Oneida Street.
I think the sewer service and the water service are about 10 feet apart from each other coming out of the site. I worked there 7 years. We fixed the service, it broke one winter. That's how I know.
You know where it's at? I think those can be handled particularly.
That's a minor issue.
Yeah, a lot of other things.
Yeah.
But if we could see like what it looks like inside the school, what we're talking about, the upgrades and things like that, we're gonna have to do. Any kind of safety equipment we need to add, if that's not there now.
I mean, I think the board is thinking in favor, I mean, of course, we can't vote on anything this evening, but always in favor, if you put a business plan together, we are open to almost anything, I think, just to hear, so we can have a dialogue about it. We're just like, we're open-minded to anything right now to preserve it right now.
We'll put something, an outline, I guess,
Yeah.
together of what we're looking at, and then what we find, I guess, in the building. And
So I assume the board's fine with me
Yeah.
taking them in, giving them a
Yeah.
grand
I am.
tour, and plenty of access? We'll do that as quick.
I want to go.
Pardon?
I want to be on the tour because I got ideas.
Oh, yep. You definitely tell her, she's invited.
Well, you two bring along whoever you want. Always.
We're gonna be gone this coming week, we're leaving on
Okay.
Wednesday, so as soon as we get back, then we can get together with you.
Yeah.
What is your timing? Like, are you trying to get this done? And-
No, we're at your, you know,
Yeah.
we're not gonna do a big rush, we just, you know.
We've been talking about this for years, but not knowing what was happening. I said, we didn't put a lot of time into it.
Right.
And it wasn't through,
Yeah.
our own, it's just a conversation with guys or Phil. If we know that this is something that's, could come to fruition, and then we can put more effort into finding other parties who are interested in either leasing space or doing some type of development for the building.
I literally just saw an article like a month ago, that some young couple of older high school like this, and I don't know if that gives you, I can send that article, if I can find it, but they literally did exactly not, they actually did it for housing, though, they didn't do it
I think I
for.
read the same one.
I read the same
Yeah.
article.
Well, it was great, there's so much money they spent.
Yeah, I didn't get the real the dollar, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say return on investment would be tough on that,
Yeah, we put a lot of labor and love into lacrosse.
Yeah.
We're hoping someday,
Yeah.
to see the financial, but to know that this is not a,
No,
you know.
I mean, Dollar General's coming, I mean, you know, I mean, there's things.
There's things happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Ryan and I both have, you know, an interest in lacrosse, probably would do it if it hadn't been lacrosse. And
Sure.
The same thing with that restaurant, our relation owned the restaurant for a long time. Right. The grocery store, and then we went to pay.
I'm glad it's doing well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I get the word out all the way in Chesterton Porter every day.
Yeah.
We have a good, I feel happy about our people that, they come 50 miles away. You know. We met a couple from Lafayette that stop there every time they come through. They go to Michigan and stop there.
That's great.
Yeah, we're real happy with it. And I'm glad that people enjoy eating there. You know, it's not like that.
Well, we're not going to good things, like to attest to that, so.
lot of people want to patronize it. So, keep up the momentum and get something going on in school.
Yeah, I mean, I would opposed.
Well, yeah, so it sounds to me like the next step is whenever you guys are available, Brian or I or both will be happy to show all of you around and let you get a deep look in there.
Yeah.
A deep dive, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get our, so we get our electrician.
Yes,
Yeah, and they'll do that at the same time.
Yeah, try to get all that, make sure you're moving.
yeah, coordinate them and we can be flexible when it needs to be.
Right.
Any other thoughts or questions from you guys for tonight?
I think the board will probably come, but
Yeah.
I'll put together like a little outline of what we're talking about, so you guys got something to handle.
Good.
Any other thoughts from the board on the topic at the moment? Sounds like we got next steps. We'll
Yeah.
either way is fine, guys, for sure, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Takes a little bit of time to run a business.
Yeah, thank you. I got somewhere else to be.
Yeah, something to do. Never worked out.
I have to talk to you more.
All right, yeah, sounds good.
Well, we will
I think
go on
excuse
to
me,
our
I think I got your
other work
email.
session topic for the night. And,
Okay, I'll call
got
you.
Dick Hooper here.
We're gonna be going for a week,
Tri-Township
though.
Trustee. And were you expecting anybody else? Did you-
I honestly didn't know other than Dale. Dale's definitely out.
Okay,
Larry's usually the best at texting me of anybody, but I didn't hear from Lawrence. Paul's never gonna text me. I'm saying that clearly now.
Dad's phone broke.
So Larry's still might be. Oh, he probably didn't know.
Can't even read it.
Yeah.
And I tried calling him, Dave.
yeah. So I'll cue this topic up by saying this is probably something I should have done months ago. But we're here now tonight, so that we can kind of talk about one of the items on our project list that the board, we are considering, working through, and that's the lighting, the consideration of lighting the township property, baseball and softball fields. And we know that recently the township board had discussion and some information from that. So we'll start that dialogue in regards to that.
Right. We talked originally, what was it, a year and a half, 2 years ago? Whatever, when the guy came down across for that meeting and talked about, basically $250,000, here it is. And of course, the thing that he couldn't answer the exact question on was the one that always scared me to death. That's a big portion of it, but it's not the end portion of it. What's it gonna cost to utilize that field? And I have a tendency not to trust, well, it's gonna be about, I don't like those numbers. I like it after a year to say, oh, this is about what it costs, because we experienced it, we know what we used it, kind of thing. So what we talked about was, we're not interested ourselves personally in putting up lights out there. We don't, we have no desire to have that kind of expense. We were in agreement on, we do want to be landowners extending, like, the property and the opportunity to do there, but I'm not interested at all if you guys aren't 5-0. If you're not 5-0 on this, I don't want it, because this should not divide you guys. It shouldn't be a topic of conversation later. If I was sitting on this board, I honestly could tell you I would vote no. I wouldn't spend the money that way. I just think there's other ways. That's just my opinion. It's just I don't know. It's to me stewardship. Could it help get some people here? Yeah, it could. Is there a cool factor? Absolutely. You don't think I'd love to come home and sit in the yard and watch those lights go on? Man, that's a kid's dream of watching the movie Field of Dreams. Pow, pow. That would absolutely be cool. The only person in the conference to have something, like that for, I don't think Boone has it for the baseball field, but, that part is cool, but it's not cool at the expense of dividing U5. So if U5 can't go 5-0 on this, I'm not even interested, and I shared that with Larry and Paul and Dale. part of that. I don't wanna be in a situation where it's causing you guys. If it works out, you're for it, you wanna do it, what we're looking at is just not having any extra expense. You know, we would, insurance-wise, I got Ron looking at $300,000. If they had spent $300,000 of lights, what does that look like for us insurance-wise? So I would be looking for that. The maintenance, still taking care of that. But I got a feeling there's gonna need to be an upgrade, maybe not. I mean, we upgraded it once before, the power out there, and so it might be good to go, that I don't know. But some sort of, you know, understanding that says, okay, it's you guys's to use until Tri-Township is no more, or the ball fields, or someday if you have something up here and you no longer have a need, then it reverts back to us. Okay? And outside of the lights, I just feel like we need to have we need to have some sort of control also of, and I'm okay with all 9 of us agree on it, and us even expense-wise, is maybe another building out there of some sort. You know, or something else going on out there. I would be in favor of sitting down with you guys and saying, hey, you know, what else do you guys need? We have this money available to utilize out there and put into that, but I'm only looking to put money into, right now is kind of like Vermar Park. You know, I got Town and Country out there looking to pave, you know, hopefully see what kind of expense we have, and if we can cover that all being paved, that ridiculous bump being taken out. Those kind of things to continue to beautify that can benefit, you know, everybody. And
See, that's the thing on the lights, I don't think it benefits everyone. And
I don't know if you're ever gonna hit anything that absolutely benefits everybody. Let's face it, a 6-year-old kid does not appreciate a war money. Unless that's some sort of an exceptional kid, or unfortunately his daddy's name's on there, or mom's name's on there.
And I don't think it's gonna bring a lot of people in.
And how many months of the year would you be using it?
I didn't hear that.
How many months out of the year would they be used?
Yeah, I mean, that's not, you know, like I said, it's not what I would do, but.
Right. Because how many games have we had out there this year that we haven't been able to finish because it got dark? 0.
Well, it's not just necessarily that, you can play them later. But I mean, you don't have to set your schedule to 4:30. You can set your schedule at 6:30 or 6 o'clock, and the kids are done by, you know, 8:15, but it drifts into that dark. You're gonna start lighting that thing at 7:15.
Right, and then what about the other schools? You know what I'm saying? That.
Yeah, that part of the discussion, I really don't wanna be a part of.
Right.
I just wanna tell you guys my opinion, but yet we're open-minded to say, we're on board, as long as you guys know, we don't want the cost. That sounds really cheesy, doesn't it?
No.
That's how we feel.
Kelly, may I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why then was it on the last thing on the board? Why has it been moved up all of a sudden?
What's that?
The lights.
Moved
Because that
up
was the
on-
last thing on our school improvement board.
On the list?
Yes, on the list. So why has it been moved up?
Well, that list wasn't in any particular order to begin with.
Yes, it was. We gave it out to people. That was the last thing on it.
It was the last thing listed, but it wasn't in a particular order
It
of
wasn't in
importance.
order of importance.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a list, and you could move those pieces up or down, or however.
Yeah, I mean, are you guys deciding to do the track? Has that even been?
I would like,
That, to me, that's such a cool thing for the community.
I would
I mean,
like,
it goes beyond soccer field, it goes beyond track, it goes, this whole community could use that to safe place to walk around. I mean, I enjoy services like that where I don't have to constantly be looking down or, you know, the topography of the ground to make sure that I'm not gonna tear up a knee when I take every step, you know, and I don't know, I really like that.
I am for the track.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I'm
hoping you
even
guys
for if they
do
put
do
lights
that.
at the track. But I am really for the track. And I think it will not only, you know, benefit our kids, but it'll benefit the community.
Absolutely, I believe that as well.
Yeah, so to answer we haven't solidified
Any of that?
any of our choices.
Gotcha.
But I feel like every time we get together, we take a little bit of a step forward towards it. Because in between each one of these opportunities, I get a little bit more solidified pricing information. And so that I can give more concrete, hey, it's really gonna be closer to this. And so we're kind of treating this list of things, it's a la carte. And what I would tell you is we're trying to accomplish the most we can based on the funds that are going to be available that hit two things. The infrastructure that keeps this building and the Tiger Den future forward, well beyond all of us. So infrastructure, but it's also a time now where there's one thing that impacts the other side of the coin for future for this place, and that's enrollment. And we've got opportunities here to finally have things that we've gone 100 years without having. We finally have an opportunity to not always be the place that doesn't have. Well, they don't have this. We can actually have a few things that nobody else has. So that's part of the rationale. Is we need to do some things for kids because since we brought up the track, you know, it's 2023 and it's ridiculous to ask our kids to compete in things when they don't even have the facility to practice what that is.
Agreed.
You know, it'd be like sending our robotics team to go compete somewhere and we just had them sitting down there with matchbox cars. It doesn't make sense. You know, you gotta have the right programming, facilities and everything so that kids can go and not just be the little engine that could, actually show up and say, hey, we've been working on this too. So we're, you know, so yeah, I mean, it's a limited amount of money and we've got real choices that need to be made. But I feel like we're really close to getting it all. And kind of planting our flag for not just surviving, but thriving going forward. And saying, hey, we're not only are we like everybody else, in some respects, we got stuff you guys don't have. And that's something we can market and bring kids into. A lot? No, we're not gonna bring in 100 kids overnight. But the perfect scenario would be to trend up 10 kids a year. We would take that. If we could get a steady trend of enrollment increase, 10 kids year over year, heck yeah, that'd be perfect. And you're right, that a soccer program, lighted track, new facility. But just my opinion, I've been of the opinion from the beginning that having this opportunity to also have a lighted baseball and softball field, when that facility that the township has is already one of the gyms of Northwest Indiana, GEMS, to go along with our awesome gym, GYM, those two things, and then when you're in lacrosse, we got restaurants to eat at now. We're gonna have a Dollar General like everybody else. So
See, and I just don't think it's gonna bring that many people.
the number isn't, I can't
So I just
give you a
like
number.
paying that much money,
And the only
and not
thing
everyone plays baseball.
no, and not everybody is in robotics, and not everybody.
So even if they had tournaments,
Yeah,
we have to pitch that bill.
that's
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
So.
But if you have tournaments, there's money
So
coming
again, I'll
Has
say,
anyone looked into that? Has anyone looked into if we can even do tournaments?
Why couldn't you do tournaments?
we can do
I'm-
tournaments. What I will say to that is, this is not a place to make it a math problem. And I know Tim hates to hear that.
I already did.
I'll bet several times.
It does not, here's what I'm saying. Schools that have a swimming pool, if they did a math problem, they'd have never had a swimming pool.
I think I better.
Yeah,
A school that has a football field with lights, like most do, if they had said, if they were sitting there going, we got 5 home games this fall. And we paid how much to have those? It's not gonna be conducive to a math problem.
yeah, but we also don't want to be in debt like other schools that they're in.
You do keep in mind that softball and baseball are the only PCC sports that you guys can host, that we can host.
Exactly.
You know, that's it. So when it comes to that, and IHSAA running, you know, I mean, sectionals is a start, but, you know, you can host regionals there. Actually, regionals, the way it's set up now, would probably be less people than sectionals. You know, I mean, but there, and again, that is not necessarily a light situation, but that is the use of that facility for us based on PCC sports. As far as being a part of hosting. And hosting is where, you know, your marketability is gonna help. You know, and soccer could be that same way. I mean, soccer is something you guys could put together that we could host and host for years.
Yes,
You know,
and the soccer theory is, football's kind of struggling right now. Parents and kids alike
I think with every injury that
are
there
starting to
is,
realize, I don't know if I want my kid's head to get hit that many times.
And I'm going back, Kelly, like, so 2020, COVID, but what people didn't know is we didn't even have a baseball team in 2020. There wasn't even enough kids to have a baseball team.
That's right.
So, I mean, that's a lot of money to play with and think,
Lacrosse is in, not the town of lacrosse, the sport of lacrosse is increasing in popularity.
and rugby. believe
Yeah,
it
and
or not.
rugby, yes,
And pickleball.
and pickleball.
Yeah, that's true. That's
But
very true.
speaking of the ball field, I mean, you know me, I'm always about traffic. You'd have to be mindful of that if you're going to increase out there and put in more parking, which you would have to do if you think you're gonna grow to the point of having regionals and stuff, is you might end up with a traffic study because you're going through 2 blocks of a neighborhood and it's not a very wide street.
So there's plenty of parking out
Just
there.
throwing it out there.
Yeah, unless they were to both fall on the same day and they don't. I mean, that's rare.
I'd like to ask a question. How much land is down there?
9 acres.
Every bit of it, Jim.
Every bit of it.
I'd like it to be from 1 acre to 400.
There's not 400.
Somewhere in the middle. Sorry, Jim.
Jim, 9.
No, I believe that's a correct answer. Yeah, I don't know, I would guess around that, 8, 9 acres. But we'd almost have to have that surveyed for me to tell you where all the property stakes are, I don't know.
No, I just want to know how many
Yeah.
acres down there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to have it surveyed to get an exact amount. I think I once, well, probably more than once, tried to find that at the county, but I don't think I had any success, but I may have not known how to look it up exactly, what it was under, because it wasn't under Dewey Township. It wasn't like Dewey Township property. I mean, that even had an address, and I couldn't have told you the address. Something Evergreen Street.
Give Stacy a call at the assessor's office. She'll be able to help.
Yeah. I'd have to care more. That's part of it.
Well, Mr. Ripper, going back to the numbers,
9.34 acres.
there you go.
How much?
9.34.
9.34, Jim, it just came to me. My memory's not what it used to be.
Perfect. So, but you made a comment of cash neutral for the township, so you're saying if we were to proceed, we would just ultimately, you find out like what their insurance was, an additional premium, what would that add-on would be, and what the addition, you break out the electric, and so it's charted, ultimately just build a corporation back for anything above and beyond what your current rates are.
That's what I was kind of thinking, yeah.
Okay.
what about the taxes? That's,
We refuse to pay them currently.
Good for you.
We don't have
There's
to.
no taxes yet.
okay. Not even for
That's the
those
only reason
lights.
we refuse.
No, I know that, but if we put lights out there.
I don't. The only thing that'll change is insurability.
Okay.
And again, Ron's figuring that based on 300,000 currently. I hope that number's okay, but I gave, I mean, it's just a general number, but any way it is, it's based on the overall cost. So that would be easy to find out. If we just do 300,000, we can do the math from there.
Right.
If we do that after the total cost part. And I think whatever that's gonna be is gonna be doable. I don't think our guys will have any problem at all. I've been wrong before on those three, but not too often.
You know, I mean, from my point of view, you know, it would be nice. I think the lighted fields would be good for the corporation, and I think it'd be good for the town as a whole. You know, do I feel that the school corporation should hold the bag for the entire thing? That's questionable. I do think that the ability to have tournaments that would be sponsored by the corporation throughout the summertime would be a plus for the town of La Crosse, because you're gonna draw in a lot of people on those weekends that are gonna use the town of La Crosse's facilities. You know, the gas station, you know, Kruger's, you know, your father-in-law's, the hangar, you know, Dollar General.
Trust me, Jen, I wanna think that way, I do.
Well, I mean, I do. I mean, you sit there and you look at what Michigan City does with their Patriot Park, you know, the tournaments and the amount of people that are there. That's a lot of people that come and they use the services.
They have hotels there. So it's like if you have hotels in Buffalo, they're gonna go back to Buffalo.
Yeah, but that does not host their tournaments all the time. You know what I mean? And I don't know. That's my thought, you know.
No, I like that, and I can really appreciate the part about, you know, I don't know if we're looking to absorb, but I understand that thought.
Yeah.
Perfectly. I get that, and that's why, you know, I feel like, I'm gonna give you guys more to talk about than anything, but I just want you to know, us four as a board are on board. We just don't want disunity coming out of this. You understand that part? I mean, that, more than anything, I hate 4-1 votes, I hate 3-2 votes. I think for Cotton, just you guys to be working as well as possible, 5-0 is American. I just do, you know, I didn't always agree with everything, but there's things I could live with, just knowing I could see the point of the person that was making the argument or bringing it up, and I don't know.
Brian, you look like you're thinking back there.
I can't even feel it.
Is it heating up already?
So I guess the question is, if you're asking the school to shoulder the cost of everything, like insurance and all that.
Not insurance.
Not insurance? No? Okay.
Not insurance and not the maintaining, paying for the lawn maintenance. That's gonna happen no matter what.
Yeah, okay.
So to ask you guys that is ridiculous. To ask, you know, like keeping up the maintenance of the stone being out there, the driveway, stuff like that, I think that's our responsibility. It's always has been, always will be. Those kind of things, I don't expect to pay one less dime for the NIPSCO out there currently. I think we should, you know, and I want to say it's around $1,300-1,400 a year,
The town?
somewhere around there.
And then talk to me more about, early in the conversation, you mentioned an additional facility you could see a need for out there, a building.
Yeah, I mean, we've thought of, that's always a thought of, you know, to the point of tearing down the existing. I mean, I've thought about seeing if there's a way that we can do the plumbing and everything, you know, into the city sewer, and what kind of expense that was. Could we split it and put a brand new facility there? You know, so much of that stuff was done, you know, not well, that it's created such a problem. And and also at some point getting rid of that little building that we drug from Paul drug from the back up to the front, and did a great job, by the way, but and replacing that with something nicer. You know, you for $2,500 to $3,000, you could have a real nice ticket booth there that doesn't look like that necessarily, but doesn't come with its own apron. I will say that.
Gosh, there's so much things we can do with that money.
Well, I will say one thing, you're always gonna feel that way about something. You always are. We could have done more, we could have done less, we could have done better, we could have done, that's, at the end of the day, it's about putting your head on your pillow and realizing you can sleep because you feel like you did the best, in the best interest of the most people.
I mean, I'm on here and I hope all of us are in here to, take care of the kids in our communities. So I just,
Maybe there's a way to utilize it even more so out there, I don't know. I mean, that's something that, between both boards, maybe we could utilize it for something else.
it's just a lot of money. And the only thing I keep going back to, it's a lot of money and it's not going to affect every kid. Maybe nothing will. But,
When you get into sports, nothing.
But even if we use that money for something else, we have to have a strong foundation too. There's still things that need done in the school.
You put a track in and you put a soccer field in, that's not gonna support every kid, because every kid's not gonna play them sports either.
But it is gonna support the community.
Actually,
That is gonna support the community too, though, because you're gonna bring in tournaments, you're gonna bring in more people. So like Chad said, you got the restaurants, you got the gas station, you're gonna bring more money into the schools. I mean, because you're gonna charge them.
That money's gonna go to the athletic fund.
Yeah.
Or something.
I mean, so there's more stuff to do for other athletics. I mean,
Right, but we shouldn't, that money to put on those competitions.
I agree.
Okay, yeah, my question was, so let's say we do host tournaments out there. We get the lights up, we host tournaments. This past summer, we had tournaments out there and we split the money between the school and the township. And I think actually we bought the new foul poles, I think. That's what we ended up doing.
Yeah.
Do you see that as, I guess my thought process was we use part of that money to pay the electric bill, that we can use that for the ditch, for those, lighting those fields, even during our season when we're not using it. And I also see benefit of, if we're running concessions, that's more money that we would have in our athletic fund that we could purchase more things that we're not asking for donations from the community from, that we're using our money for.
Now, I won't speak for those three, but obviously I'll bring it up. I don't care if we don't see a dime. As long as it's utilized by, the school in a way that benefits, and that does benefit everybody. Any money raised out there, if it comes back in to you guys and it goes out through the kids, the community, whatever, I'm fine with that. And I think all three of those guys will be, although you guys call it a softball diamond, I'm telling you, Larry's not going to be on board.
Little League.
We've got to say Little League field. Lawrence takes that personal. It's like watching a bluegill that all of a sudden is released that field.
I was thinking of getting a sign underneath that scoreboard that we can see about. When it's a softball game, it says Tiger softball field. When they're not playing, it says lacrosse Little League field.
Friday play softball, no, I can go out there and see that.
So, and I'm just thinking because, Bentley played in a tournament this past weekend. 8 teams, $500 a piece.
Yeah.
So $4,000 just for that 8 teams. After they paid out umpires, it was an easy probably
Well, and the difference
$2,000.
in the tournaments we held last year, that was at Bomb Squad, they basically rented the field. We do our own as fundraisers for high school baseball, as fundraisers for high school softball. The choir wanted to host a softball tournament out there, fundraiser, I mean, they
And
bring in money.
Brian, really quick, you didn't need lights for that.
No, he played on Friday night, so he played under the lights in Crown Point.
Most
I'm just saying that's, because it's not just 9U playing, it was 10U, 11U, 12U, so there was multiple tournaments. So his was an 18 tournament, the 11U was an 18-team tournament.
So most of those tournaments, they do like a pool play, where you play 3 pool play games, and then you get seeded by those. So you're getting like a 5-game guarantee for a 3-day weekend. So they're pushing it, starting Friday night, going all day Saturday from 8 in the morning till 10 at night or 9 at night, and then Sunday until it's done. So.
And it's gotta seem like value to the team so that they can justify the value of getting in the tournament.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they know only one team's coming out of there victorious, but what they're doing is they're trying to hone their skills, get better and better for the next tournament. You know,
Ms.
so.
Griffin, you had a
Oh,
suggestion about another use too.
well, you're talking about fundraising, it could be in the middle of a new track too, is things like a festival or a concert or something, but, I mean, you know, you can, then that does have its own problems, you know, with cleanup and stuff, but. But I mean, there must be some off days that they could be, even if it was once a month, it could be rented out.
Or the field house concert.
For,
Tiger
like you
Group,
said,
right?
like church groups, where I used to live in Southern California, the churches did have teams and the church I went to eventually built their own fields, but they would compete between churches, they had ball teams.
At the game, just have to have fireworks.
Are you gonna light them off?
No fireworks, not around the tree.
Is that okay if you give him permission?
It worked for Wanatah, I mean, Washington, the guys over that way.
If there's any question you guys have coming up, if it helps, I'm glad to.
But just the big thing for me is two things. One is to refine our costs. To be a good steward, you have to know, just before you build a home, you want to know how much your home's going to cost. And all these things that we have to look at and put a priority to right now with the decisions in front of us. To your point, we want to make sure we're making the biggest impact with those dollars, that it's affecting the right people. And you don't want to go in halfway and then find out you can't finish things and do it the right way. So I think being a good steward of the tax dollars is important. And then another thing that I think all trustees should consider with conversations that happen all the time is that what happens if we spend $300,000 there and some kind of agreements that all trustees should look at. What happens if trustees go away and who retains that property? And what happens if property there almost needs to be
Something legal.
something legal, so.
Oh, absolutely.
Succession
Price
plan.
of an acquisition or $1 for $1, whatever the case is, what does that look like if all of a sudden there's no trustees a year from now? Yeah, but every year is, for 22 years, I guarantee you it comes back, because I've lived it, and so it'll be on the agenda next year again, somebody's gonna throw a version of trustees. So for a $300,000 school investment, I think we have to be financially responsible to at least have a conversation or a legal agreement saying, what happens?
I think part of the selling point is if you can start to lay out, you know, we're gonna commit ourselves to 7 tournaments this summer and start laying out some kind of value where you can see what kind of money it's gonna bring in 7 tournaments to be able to present to somebody, listen, it's $25,000 we can make off that just this summer. Now that could be getting things rolling. I mean, and there's goofy things, I mean, people pay money to play, you know, softball in the wintertime. You know, that was a thing for a while. It's like, man, it's hard enough to get these boats going when you're in, you know, 65-degree weather, let alone. But, I mean,
Well, maybe tomorrow night, when we come back, for those of us that are coming for the NDOT update, I mean, for years we've been hearing about them gonna update Route 30. I find it hard to believe that we would ultimately end up with an interchange since they're starting to build right up to that intersection of 421 and 30, but we need to get some kind of a feel that even if it's 10 years out, you know, when they eventually upgrade the highway.
The question being whether we're gonna be able to get on and off right here? Is that
Well,
what you're saying?
yeah, I mean, ultimately, something is gonna upgrade, they wanna go from Valpo to the Ohio line. So ultimately, something's gonna be upgrading that intersection. And it's gonna affect all the way around, all the towns around, particularly Wanatah. Yeah.
Well,
All right, we're past our deadline. It's bedtime.
Dick, anything else?
not that I can think
You
of.
laid it out pretty clearly.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it, really.
Thank you.
Again, I wish I'd have done it months ago, but we're here now, and so we can go forward from there. Thank you very much. Board, anything else on those 2 topics? Then
I do have a motion to close the work session.
I'll make a motion to close the work session.
I'll
Second,
second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
move on to our board meeting agenda, so I have a motion to, I guess we can move on directly if we don't.
Yeah,
Motion to open the board meeting.
you've already done, yeah.
Do a motion,
I'll make a motion to open the board meeting.
do a second.
I'll second that motion to open the board meeting.
Thank you. We will have our minutes from May at our regular meeting later this month. I have two, Brian, did you get a third personnel?
No.
Okay, so we have two, I need an approval to accept Austin Heiss' resignation as our Spanish teacher.
Motion to,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
And then another resignation, Tricia Wozniak from the financial department,
Just financial department.
everything,
Motion
actually.
approved. I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Wait, will she still be able to coach at all?
She's not, she's taking a new job, so she won't be available to us.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
Kelly, there's one more. Gala Porch.
I know, I put in an extra bullet point there just in case. So Gayla Porch, resignation?
Yeah, retired.
Yeah.
Good.
Retired again.
Do a motion.
Make a motion to approve her resignation for retirement.
Do a second.
I'll second. Here's got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And motion approved.
Thank you. And then I just have the one item that we needed approval for tonight. In order to have 4 early release days in our calendar for next year so that we can provide professional development, we need to apply for a 1003 flexibility waiver through the DOE.
What are those, Kelly, the 4 early release days?
So those would be half days of school for the students. We would send them home early at 12:30 so that the last 2 hours of the day our teachers can get professional development.
Okay.
Motion approved.
I'll second it.
That's what that means?
So I can't believe it. Aaron, who was the second?
Me.
Chip, thank you. Yeah.
It's not flexible, that's fixed.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
Brian, did you have anything for tonight? Okay.
Graduation, graduated 24 kids.
It was great.
Yep. Good, very good ceremony. Well done. It's a 55-minute mark, so it's perfect.
Jim Russell did really, his speech was good.
Very good
It was
speech from Jim. For sure.
6
Yeah,
6 minutes.
yep,
It was only 6 minutes?
yeah.
To the point, but a lot of good points.
Yeah.
A lot of good
Very
points,
good.
a lot of good thoughts.
Who spoke?
Jim Russell.
Oh.
Had never spoke at a graduation before. First
Really?
time he'd ever been asked. So,
I will piggyback off what Ms. Griffin, tomorrow, I believe, do they start at, here at 2?
no.
When does the event
Starts at
start?
6.
Oh,
6.
they're showing up. to
They're
set
setting up everything.
6 o'clock tomorrow, and that's what this is set up for, so
The project
if
manager.
you want to hear more about that, come back tomorrow night.
Well, it's 5 o'clock. Starts tomorrow.
You might be able to come in, I think you can come in at 5 and see they'll have maps and other
Okay.
things you can look at in the gym, and then
That's right.
the actual presentation is in
Yep.
here.
Yeah, the
6
project
o'clock.
And I
manager
believe it's
set
6
up
o'clock,
That's
the
right.
actual presentation, so.
Motion approved.
like we did at Westfield.
Do a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Next
Hey,
meeting,
Mr.
June
Volunteer,
25th.
I got a question. That's-